As the climate crisis spirals, even the most protected find themselves vulnerable. This image documents the somber aftermath of a tragedy where no amount of faith or privilege could shield a community from the devastating power of the flood.
Sergio Flores captured this image for Reuters, showing search teams continuing their grim work near Camp Mystic in the aftermath of deadly flooding in Kerr County, Texas, on July 4, 2025. The catastrophic flash flood killed over 107 people countywide, making it one of the deadliest inland flood events in U.S. history, with Camp Mystic suffering particularly devastating losses of at least 27 campers and counselors. Harrison Hall, the camp's central dining facility and community hub, had its front wall torn off and roof badly damaged. Officials and experts have been hesitant to address key factors that worsened the disaster, including failures in institutional response and cabins knowingly built in the floodplain. Although climate change has spiked the risk of extreme rainfall, its impact has still not been widely acknowledged.
In this photo, we see not only the impact of the storm ripping through that building and tearing through everything in its path below it, but we're also really invited to recognize the vulnerability of this location. We have a building with a stone facade surrounded by stone walls. This is something that would seem to be solid. But we also see, shortly after the storm, how close that river was to that building.
I think there's some bitter ironies in this photograph. For example, the calm waters. The eerily placid Guadalupe River creates a false sense of tranquility juxtaposed with the emergency rescue crew, which is in blatant tension with the blown out building, the felled trees, and so much mud. And then there's also these painful parallels to camp life, specifically boating. The debris field in the rescue operation transforms classic summer camp imagery, which should be canoes, life jackets, and camp equipment, into wreckage and evidence. There's been some interesting articles about Harrison Hall and its history. It really is the center for singing and faith sharing at this 100-year-old Christian camp that served the families of Texas elite.
We've seen dozens and dozens of photographs of the flood's aftermath and the campers' cabins, the girls' belongings littered with mud and debris, photos of stuffed animals and camp trunks and other things that really highlight the contrast between what this place is supposed to be and what the girls are supposed to experience versus what happened to them. In contrast, this photo of this ripped open building can really be read as a kind of commentary on the institutional aspects of the camp, the ghostly reflections of the building on the water, as a reminder of the real lack of clarity in terms of answers to so many really important questions.
The images from the cabins are really difficult to look at, but I think they're also really important to witness as a call to action. The death of young people, which is especially painful, also reminds us that the youth are the ones that are most at risk when it comes to the climate emergency.
It's also, I think, interesting to note that that rescue boat has writing on the side that reads Uvalde Fire and Rescue. How do you hear Uvalde without being reminded of that 2022 school shooting? In that context, a report from the Biden Justice Department argued that there were systemic failures in leadership and decision-making and training that cost lives in that tragedy at the school.
Both disasters shattered parental trust in fundamental institutions meant to keep kids safe. They exposed preventable vulnerabilities and communication failures. We have an ongoing crisis in terms of climate, and denial just isn't an answer anymore, especially on the part of the federal government. These protections are not just important, they're necessary.